Los Angeles, California. Gold's Gym Equipment Store. March 12, 1970. Thursday afternoon, 2:43 p.m. The smell of rubber mats and metal weights filled the air, where chrome dumbbells lined walls like soldiers at attention. 41 customers browsed the fitness equipment, most hoping to transform their bodies into something they admired in magazines. But one encounter would become legendary in 5 seconds. What happened that afternoon would be retold in gyms across America for the next decade. 17 people witnessed it directly. The bodybuilder never made the same mistake again. This is what really happened. Gold's Gym Equipment Store on Venice Boulevard isn't just a retail space. It's a temple where serious bodybuilders make pilgrimages. Floor-to-ceiling mirrors multiply the rows of equipment into infinity. Posters of Mr. Universe winners cover every available wall space. The air conditioning fights a losing battle against California sun and the ambient heat of ambition. This is where champions buy their tools, where beginners invest in dreams of transformation. Bruce had come to purchase wrist rollers specifically for forearm training. His approach to fitness was becoming increasingly scientific, incorporating equipment and methods from multiple disciplines. He wore simple clothing, dark jeans and a white t-shirt that didn't advertise his identity or achievements. Just another customer browsing equipment. Near the squat racks stands Derek Thompson. 6 feet 4 inches tall, 278 pounds of mass, built through 6 years of dedicated bodybuilding. His arms measure 21 inches cold, his chest 54 inches expanded. He placed 4th in the previous year's Mr. California competition, missing the podium by a narrow margin that still burned in his mind. Veins map his forearms like rivers on topographical maps. Thompson isn't just another gym enthusiast. He's a serious competitor who has sacrificed relationships, career opportunities, and countless social events for the singular goal of building maximum muscle mass. He trains 6 days a week, 3 hours per session, consumes 7 meals daily, calculated to the gram. People respect him at Gold's because his physique proves his dedication. He's never trained for anything except size and symmetry. Thompson believes muscle mass equals fighting capability. He's seen smaller guys try to challenge bigger men and learned what he thinks is an immutable law. Size matters more than technique. To him, Bruce Lee's lean physique represents exactly what he despises. Flash without real substance, movies instead of reality, speed that means nothing without power. He's about to voice that opinion. 2:47 p.m. Bruce examines a wrist roller, testing its rotation, checking the cable quality. His forearms show definition, but nothing approaching Thompson's mass. His t-shirt reveals a compact, lean physique, 135 pounds of functional muscle that looks almost small in a store full of bodybuilding equipment designed for men twice his size. Joe Weider, the owner, recognizes Bruce from previous visits. Joe knows what most customers don't. This small Chinese man has an understanding of body mechanics that most bodybuilders never consider. He's seen Bruce's speed, witnessed his power generation despite his size. He senses trouble developing before it starts. Thompson stops his conversation with another bodybuilder mid-sentence. His eyes track Bruce's movement with the assessment of someone categorizing threat levels based purely on size. He sees the lean frame, the lack of mass, the Asian features that he associates with martial arts movies rather than real combat. Not impressive, definitely not intimidating. He decides to educate this smaller man about reality. Thompson approaches, his footsteps heavy, his presence dominating the space through sheer physical mass. Other customers notice, sensing confrontation in his posture. Bruce doesn't react, doesn't tense, simply continues examining the wrist roller as if a 278-pound man isn't approaching with obvious intent. "Wrist rollers, huh?" Thompson's voice carries across the store, loud enough to ensure an audience. "Those are for forearm development. Trying to add some size to those arms?" Bruce looks up, his expression neutral and polite. "Just maintaining what I have. They work well for grip strength." "Grip strength?" Thompson repeats with a slight laugh, flexing his own forearm to display the mass Bruce lacks. "I can see you need it. Those muscles are just for show, right? Movie muscles. Look good on camera but wouldn't last 10 seconds in a real situation requiring strength." The store goes quiet. Customers stop browsing to watch. Joe Weider tenses behind the counter, recognizing the challenge forming. Bruce sets down the wrist roller carefully, giving Thompson his full attention without aggression. What makes you think they're just for show? Thompson steps closer, using his size advantage deliberately. Because real strength comes from mass, from hours under heavy weight, building actual muscle fiber, not from dancing around doing martial arts forms. I bench press 400 pounds. I squat 600. That's real strength. That's functional. He gestures at Bruce's frame dismissively. What you've got is aesthetics at best, useless in the real world where power matters. Bruce nods slowly, as if considering the argument seriously. You're right that you're much bigger than me. You've obviously dedicated yourself to building mass. That's impressive. But you're making an assumption about functionality that we could test if you're interested. Test? Thompson's eyes narrow. You want to arm wrestle? Bench press competition? Because I guarantee, nothing like that. Bruce interrupts gently. Something simpler, something that shows the difference between mass and function, if you're willing. Thompson looks around, ensuring his audience is watching. Sure. Show me what your movie muscles can do. Bruce's expression remains calm, almost friendly. Hold out your arm. Fully extended. Make a fist. Thompson complies, extending his massive right arm, his fist clenched to display the thick forearm muscles Bruce supposedly lacks. His arm looks like a tree branch, solid and immovable. Now what? Try to keep it extended, Bruce says simply. Resist with all your strength. Don't let me collapse it. Thompson smirks, confidence absolute. You're going to try to bend my arm? Go ahead. I curl 70-pound dumbbells for reps. Good luck. Bruce positions himself, one hand touching Thompson's fist lightly, the other near his elbow. The size difference is comical. Bruce's hands look small against Thompson's arm. 17 witnesses watch, most expecting Thompson to prove his point about mass equaling power. What happens next takes 5 seconds, but violates everything Thompson believes about strength, power, and muscle mass. Bruce doesn't pull with his arms alone. He doesn't yank or jerk or use obvious muscular force that Thompson could recognize and counter. His body shifts almost imperceptibly, his weight settling lower, his structure aligning in a way that turns his entire frame into a single, unified lever. The movement starts from his feet pressing into the floor, rises through legs that activate in sequence, through hips that rotate with precision timing, through core muscles that connect and transmit force, channeling everything through arms that suddenly aren't just arms, but the endpoint of whole body mechanics coordinated with perfect efficiency. Thompson's arm collapses, not slowly, not gradually fighting against resistance, but instantly, like a support beam suddenly removed from a structure, like a dam breaking under pressure it can't contain. His massive bicep that curls 70-pound dumbbells, his thick forearm mapped with veins and muscle, his 6 years of dedicated strength training means absolutely nothing against the principle Bruce just demonstrated. The arm that was extended and rigid, that Thompson was certain couldn't be moved, becomes bent and useless in less time than it takes his brain to register shock and disbelief. Thompson's eyes go wide with confusion and something approaching fear. He tries to re-extend his arm, pushing with all the strength that has impressed countless gym-goers, but Bruce maintains the collapsed position effortlessly, using minimal visible effort to control what should be Thompson's superior strength. The veins in Thompson's forearm bulge with exertion. His face flushes red. Nothing moves. What the? How are you? This isn't possible. Structure, Bruce says quietly, releasing Thompson's arm. You're using muscle isolation. I'm using body integration. Your bicep is strong, but you're fighting with just your bicep. I'm using legs, hips, core, everything coordinated. Mass without structure is just weight. Thompson steps back, flexing his arm as if checking for injury, finding none but discovering something more disturbing. His foundational belief system has just been challenged. But I'm twice your size. I lift way more weight than you. That shouldn't be possible. Let me show you something else, Bruce says, his tone shifting to teacher rather than opponent. Hit me. Here. He taps his own abdomen. Full power. Don't hold back. The store erupts in murmurs. Joe Weider starts to intervene. Bruce, I don't think. It's fine, Joe. Bruce says without looking away from Thompson. He needs to understand something. Go ahead, full power. Thompson hesitates, suddenly uncertain despite his size advantage. I don't want to hurt you. I hit heavy bags hard enough to... You won't hurt me, Bruce interrupts with absolute certainty. But you'll learn something. Please, full power. Thompson sets his stance, planting his feet the way he's been taught for stability during heavy lifts. He draws back his massive fist, loading his shoulder and chest muscles with the coiled energy of someone who has spent 6 years building punching force through mass and weight training. His knuckles are scarred from heavy bag work. His fist accelerates forward with the power of 278 pounds behind it, driven by muscles that press 400 pounds with enough force to break ribs on an unprepared target, to fold a normal person in half. The impact happens with a dull, heavy thud that echoes in the sudden silence of the watching store. Thompson's fist connects solidly with Bruce's midsection, his full power delivered through proper technique. But Bruce doesn't fold, doesn't grunt or gasp, doesn't even step backward to absorb momentum. His abdominal wall, tensed with perfect timing, developed through years of conditioning, absorbs the strike like water absorbing a stone, accepting the force, dispersing it through connected muscle chains, rendering it harmless through principles Thompson has never considered. Thompson pulls his hand back immediately, shaking it slightly, his knuckles showing redness from the impact, feeling the shock of hitting something that should have been soft but proved harder than he expected. His face shows confusion mixing with dawning respect. How? I felt that land solid. I put everything into it. That should have hurt you. Bruce's breathing remains even, unlabored, as if nothing significant just happened. Timing and tension. Your punch had real power. I felt the force. I'm not diminishing what you're capable of generating. But power delivered against proper structure and timing doesn't penetrate the way you expect. You tensed your entire body for the duration of your punch, from the moment you decided to throw it until impact, burning energy, maintaining constant tension. I remained relaxed, then tensed only my abdominal wall at the precise moment of impact, for a fraction of a second, then immediately relaxed again. Efficiency versus effort. Precision versus power. He continues, warming to the teaching opportunity that confrontation has created, genuinely wanting Thompson to understand rather than just be impressed. Your bodybuilding has built impressive muscle mass. I'm not dismissing your dedication or your results. You're strong in specific, isolated movements that bodybuilding emphasizes: pressing, curling, squatting, pulling. But you've trained muscles individually, one at a time, rather than as an integrated system that works together. When you tried to keep your arm extended, you used only your bicep and shoulder, fighting with isolated strength. When you punched, you used only your arm and chest, generating power from limited sources. That's what bodybuilding teaches: muscle isolation for maximum growth. Bruce moves to the center of the store's open area, gesturing for Thompson to watch. Real power comes from the ground up. Watch. He demonstrates a simple punch in slow motion, narrating each component. Force starts in the back foot, drives through the leg. The hip rotates, amplifying force. The torso whips, adding more. The shoulder extends, the arm follows. By the time my fist arrives, it carries the power of my entire body, not just my arm. He executes the same punch at full speed. The movement is blindingly fast, ending with a sharp exhale and a snap that makes several customers flinch, despite Bruce hitting nothing but air. The sound alone conveys power that has nothing to do with muscle mass. Your muscles are strong, Bruce acknowledges, his tone respectful rather than condescending. But they're individual units working separately. My muscles are smaller, but they're coordinated. Every movement involves full body integration. That's why I could collapse your arm. Not because I'm stronger, but because I'm more efficiently structured. Thompson stares at his own massive forearm, as if seeing it differently, recognizing that 6 years of dedicated training might have built impressive aesthetics without building complete functionality. So everything I've been doing is wrong? Not wrong, Bruce corrects immediately. Incomplete. Bodybuilding builds muscle mass very effectively. For aesthetics, for health, for strength in specific movements, it works. But it's specialized, like training only your jab in boxing or only your right leg in soccer. Impressive in isolation, but limited in application. Bruce's expression softens, the warrior replaced by the teacher who genuinely wants to share understanding. You've built an incredible physique through dedication I respect completely, but you've built it through isolation exercises that train muscles individually. Bench press works chest, shoulders, triceps, but separately. Curls work biceps alone. Squats work legs in a pattern that doesn't transfer to fighting or martial movement. Bruce gestures to his own frame, smaller but functional in ways Thompson is beginning to understand, beginning to see as something other than inferior. I train movements, not individual muscles. I train body integration, not isolation. Every exercise I do involves multiple muscle groups working in perfect coordination, powered from the ground where force originates, linked through core stability that connects upper and lower body, expressed through striking or grappling movements that have actual application. When I punch, everything moves together. When I kick, my whole body participates. Nothing is isolated, because isolation doesn't exist in real combat or functional movement. Thompson's voice is quieter now, the bravado completely gone, replaced by genuine curiosity mixed with wounded pride that's struggling to accept this new reality. Can you teach me? I don't want to give up bodybuilding. I've invested too much and I still love the discipline. But I want to understand what you're doing. How to make my strength actually functional instead of just looking impressive in mirrors and on stage. How to coordinate what I've built instead of just displaying it. Bruce studies his face carefully, seeing genuine transformation happening in real time. The rare moment when ego cracks enough to allow learning to enter, when pride steps aside for curiosity. Come to my school on Wilton Place, Saturday mornings, 9 o'clock sharp. But understand what you're signing up for. You won't become a martial artist overnight, and the process will be frustrating. You'll unlearn things first, which is significantly harder than learning new things. Your body knows how to use muscle isolation because that's what you've trained for 6 years. Teaching it integration, teaching it to work as one unit, takes time and patience and willingness to feel weak before you feel strong again. Joe Weider approaches, his face showing relief that confrontation has become education. Bruce, Derek, I'm glad this turned into something productive. Derek, I've known Bruce for a while. What he's showing you is real. I've seen it before. Another customer, a boxer named Raymond who trains at Gold's regularly, speaks up from near the weight racks. I watched the whole thing. I've boxed for 8 years and I've never seen power generation explained that clearly. The way you collapsed his arm, that was leverage and structure, not strength. Bruce picks up the wrist roller again, examining it as if the last 10 minutes didn't happen. I'll take this one, Joe. And Derek, he turns to Thompson, think about what you learned today. Not that your training is wrong, but that it's one approach among many. The bodybuilders who cross-train, who study movement and mechanics, they're discovering what you just discovered. Size is an advantage, but only when combined with structure and coordination. Thompson nods slowly, his massive frame somehow looking less imposing now, more vulnerable, exposed in his incomplete understanding. Saturday morning, I'll be there. And Bruce, I apologize for the comment about movie muscles. I was wrong. You weren't entirely wrong, Bruce replies with a slight smile. Some people do train just for appearance, but you assumed without testing. Today you tested. That's more honest than most people ever get. I respect that. The story spread through Gold's Gym like wildfire. By evening, everyone who trained there knew about the encounter. Versions multiplied. Some said Bruce knocked Thompson unconscious. Others claimed he bent Thompson's arm backward. The truth was less dramatic but more profound. Thompson showed up that Saturday at 9 a.m. sharp. He trained with Bruce for 6 months, integrating functional movement with bodybuilding. When he competed in Mr. California the following year, judges commented that his posing had gained new fluidity and power. Years later, Thompson would tell the story to younger bodybuilders at Gold's, who made similar assumptions about size equaling functionality. I was 278 pounds and couldn't keep my arm extended against a man who weighed 135 pounds. Not because he was stronger, but because he understood principles I'd never considered. Bruce Lee taught me that mass without structure is just weight. Real power comes from integration. The encounter wasn't about Bruce proving superiority over bodybuilders. It was about exposing the limitation of specialized training that ignores whole-body integration, about the difference between isolated strength and coordinated power. That afternoon, in a Venice Boulevard equipment store, Bruce Lee didn't demolish a bodybuilder's confidence through humiliation. He shattered assumptions about what strength actually means and offered a path to deeper understanding. The legend requires no exaggeration. What actually happened was impressive enough.